We're learning the Maimer from Rav Tzimaya on page Yud Dalet. The Indian of Taharis Einayim. We're going to learn this Maimer. We're going to spend some time in Mitzvah Shem learning also the halachas of the Isser V'Staklus. There are many halachas and sugyas in the Gemara regarding this avodah of Shmiras Einayim. But for now, I want to finish the Maimer. We're on page Yud Daled. We were in the second column. We're at the bottom. Let's review a little bit the Chassam Sofer on the left-hand column on page Yud Daled. I think you should have that till Tes Zayin, I'm pretty sure. It was sent out. Yeah. We saw this already, just to review. So we see that there's a very deep connection between Kedushas Einayim and the mitzvahs of Kriyas Shema. Besides Kriyas Shema itself, we're talking now about covering the eyes by Kriyas Shema, but also when it comes to the mitzvah of Tefillin, the mitzvah of Tzitzis. By Tefillin, there's the Indian of Beinei Necha. And by Tzitzis, it's also Suach Elevav from Achrei Nechem. And all of that is in the context of Kriyas Shema. So obviously, in davening, it appears that the time of Kriyas Shema, that time of Kriyas Shema is there's great focus on this avodah of Taharis Einayim. And we were learning about how Shema Yisrael means many things. The word Shema Yisrael also means, like it did when Yaakov Avinu gathered his sons around his bed, and they said Shema Yisrael. Yaakov Avinu is Yisrael. So we learned that. The Indian of covering the eyes by creation. So Shema Yisrael means many things. Who are we asking? Who are we saying? Listen. So Shema Yisrael means all of Am Yisrael. It means the Shechina. It means Yaakov Avinu. And Yaakov Avinu b'chol yom kol yochid v'yochid b'shah shekar Kriyas Shema. You read this on the Shema Shel Yaakov Avinu. The Svarim tell us that at the time that a person is saying Kriyas Shema, the neshama of Yaakov Avinu, is there. Shema Yisrael, and each one of us, when we say Shema, we're in a certain way, on a certain level, we're speaking to Yaakov Avinu, and the same way that his sons told him before he died, Shema Yisrael, listen Yaakov. Onu mi'idim, right? Kriyas Shema is Eidos. We're talking about in the Shema, the big Ayin in the Torah, and the Dalet of Echad. That's the Eidos of Sul Meroi Menechem. Shin Mem Ayin, Sur Meroi Menechem. And the Eidos that we're saying, what's the Eidos? Onu mi'idim v'onu yoidim. K'sheim shein b'libcha el echad, kach ein b'libenu el echad. That even though sometimes it looks like we're not connected to Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, but we are. In our hearts, we're trying. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, ve'echem yonim shemechasim esaynayim hu. And one of the reasons that we cover our eyes, ki onu marim b'zeh, shonu be'emes roitzim lagi l'sumurei menechem. It's Kilu was showing Yaakov Avinu, by covering our eyes, we're saying Shema Yisrael, we're saying, listen Yaakov, it's true that during the course of the day, we oftentimes wander and we're straying from the path that you established, but we're covering our eyes to connect ourselves to those first three letters of Shema, Sumur Omenechem, Anirotzim Lagila Hechra Oigen. We want to be people that look at the world the way that you looked at the world, to have Hechra Oigen, Sumur Omenechem, to lift our eyes. Va'etza Yechid Lezehi, L'chasei Seinayim. And the only way is by covering the eyes. It says in the Parsha, Kilay Yerani Ha'adam V'chai. And one of the tzaddikim, I think, from Slonim, if I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken, one of the tzaddikim from Slonim said, this Kilo Yirani Odom V'chai, the simple pshat is that no person can see me and live. But one of the tzaddikim said, Kilo Yirani Odom V'chai, Shkai, thanks. Kilo Yirani Odom V'chai means that a person wants to be able to live in this world and to have everything that he sees and to enjoy this world. V'chai, in other words, he wants to live it up in this world. So this tzaddik says, if you have this intention to be able to look at everything and get everything you want in this world, Kilo Yirani Ha'adam, that person will not see me. V'chai. Because you want to be able to have everything in this world. Such a person, Lo Yirani, cannot see me. Kilo Yirani Ha'adam V'chai. In order to see me, you have to be able to cover your eyes. Doesn't mean you can't be part of the world. That's ridiculous. But Kilo Yirani Ha'adam V'chai means in order to really connect to me, you have to turn away to some degree. You have to cover your eyes from the world. If you want everything in this world, you want to be able to have your whole chiyas in this world, then kilo yirani. You have to make a choice. Either you see the world to your heart's content, or you see me. So we cover the eyes. And we're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu to help us, that our eyes should be clean. When a person knows how to sit in darkness, a person knows how to close his eyes, the organs and in rain, then the eyes are pure. Kodesh ein of lamatai, there's a zoicha Hashem orli. Ke'esha b'chayshech Hashem orli. Zoichem l'ahaganas. I forgot to mention again that the Chaburah Yosef HaTzadik, we're thanking the Rahmani family, the Zeich and Ishmas, Rabbi's father, Avinoam ben Chaim, and Zishom Shavan Aliyah. Shema Yisrael. So, so let's continue. We're saying to Yaakov Avinu, Har Yaakov Avinu, who's there, Shehiur Banu Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Our Amunah we receive through the Avos, and Yaakov Avinu illuminated our lives with this Amunah that Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. What does it mean when the Jew says Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad? It's not just a proclamation of belief. It's that also. But Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad means that in my life, everything that I do in my life is according to that reality of Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Nothing else is typhus amakim in my life. Of course, my family, my work, but all of that is only lefi my belief in Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Shekol hevli ha'olam hazeinu typhus amakim. Therefore, all of the silliness of this world, einam typhus amakim. It's not part of that echad. I don't care. Zakol aroi. It's all passing. Hakol geirus. It's all just for a short time. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Davar echad hu emes. There's only one thing that's absolute truth, and davar echad typhus makom. Zeh hiskarvus al avinu shebashamayim. That's a relationship with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kol mashen nimtzoyim b'olam hazeh hu rak preizda. This whole world is only a preizda. Is only a hallway. Zerak aroi. Zerak gerus. Bechinas malachtam aroi v'tarosam keva. What's the kvias of a person's life is Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. V'akavedes Hashem nisham mikol olam hazeh. Zeh habir b'Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That's really the simplest and most important kavanah to have when we say Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That everything in my life revolves around that reality of Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Zeh koach Yaakov Avinu, and this is the koach of Yaakov Avinu. Shehiur Banu Yemei Shnei Megurai. The Yaakov Avinu Vayeshev Yaakov Eretz Megurai Aviv. Yemei Shnei Megurai means that I'm just a visitor. I'm just passing through. That's what Yaakov Avinu said. Geirus Hakol Ubeloshen Geirus. V'no'orim LiYaakov Avinu Shema Yisrael. Therefore, when we say the words Shema Yisrael, we can have in mind Shema Yisrael Tishma Yaakov Avinu. When the Shema of Yaakov Avinu comes down, when a Jew is saying Shema Yisrael, the person is able to say, listen, Shema Yisrael, Tishma Yaakov Avinu, Yisrael Sava, Yaakov Avinu, on the Yoidim V'anam Akirim, we know saying Edus, Shekol HaKatnas VaShiflus and Atoifis Makom. I know that I get involved in a lot of stuff, but that's not the ikkur of my life. That's not the ikkur of my life. When the person covers his eyes and turns away from this world, Ki lo yirani odem v'chai. Rak Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Ve'ech evshel l'gilazeh. Aydei su'um b'roim enechem. The only way that we can come to this madrega is through su'um b'roim enechem. The first three letters, Shema, su'um b'roim enechem, to lift up our eyes, to look at things from a different perspective. Yaakov Avinu Nemar Einei Yisrael Kovdu Mizoik. Therefore, we see something special with the eyes of Yaakov Avinu. With the eyes of Yaakov and the eyes of Yosef, we see something special, which we don't see by the other Shvatim. We see by Yaakov Avinu, we see by Yosef HaTzadik. El told us Yaakov Yosef, this connection between Yosef and Yaakov. And the last thing was Yosef putting his hands on Yaakov Avinu's eyes and closing Yaakov Avinu's eyes. But it says in the Torah, in Parshas Vayichi, that by Yaakov Avinu says, Einei Yisrael Kovdu Mizoiken, that the eyes of Yaakov were heavy from old age. Kovdu Mizoiken. The Targum says something very fascinating. Uvur betargum yakiru mesivu. Kovdu, the Targum translates as a lotion of kavod, of mechubad, something which is honored and something which is great. A lotion of kavod, something which is yakar. Yakiru mesivu, from old age. What does that mean? So we bring some Nechsam Seifer. Mu Nechsam Seifer Aish Tzadikim. Ki Yaakov Avinu zaken v'yoshev yeshiva haya. So Yaakov Avinu was an old man. He was sitting all day long. Yoshev yeshiva, didn't have regular yeshiva back then. But Yaakov Avinu was sitting every single moment of his life with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vaydekein Einei Yisrael Kovdu Mizoiken. Biur bezahu, Chasam Sefer says, Yaakov Avinu higbi'es einayim b'kol chayev. All of his life, Yaakov Avinu tried to look at things through those eyes of Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So he tried to look at everything in his life. And over all of those years of lifting his eyes up to see things in that way, the Mela ve'einei Yisrael, that when he came to the end of his life, the Torah says, this is how the Chasam Sofer explains, that when it came to the end of his life, ve'einei Yisrael, the eyes of Yisrael, ha'einayim ha'kadoshos shelo, the holy eyes of Yaakov Avinu, kavdu, niyu mechubadim, they were very bekovedik eyes. The eyes of Yaakov Avinu were very bekovedik eyes. Nu nishamadik, his eyes were nishamadik eyes. Yakiru, nu yukarim, his eyes were very valuable, were precious. Yukarim. Kedoshim mizoiken, miseva, yikol kach harbe amelis, because he was old all of his life. He spent all of the years of his life purifying himself and trying to look at things through that way of Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Harbe amelis mekol shnei chayev, mizeniyu ha'inayim sheyakov Avinu nekiyus ha'kadoshos. And now his eyes, before he left the world, the Torah says, Kavdu me'einei Yisrael kavdu mizaika. They were bekovedika eyes. Nekiyus ha'kadoshos. So this is the way we begin Kriya Shema. It's a simple kavanah that we could try to have sometimes to think about this. Yaakov Avinu, Shema Yisrael, all of these things together. Yaakov Avinu is here. He's here right now. In the same way that his sons gather around his bed, when we're saying Shema, we're standing next to Yaakov Avinu. And we're saying Shema Yisrael. Su miroi meinechem. Shema shimem ayin. Lift your eyes up and make them elevated eyes. Im koichel she Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu is standing next to you. And Yaakov Avinu wants us to have this koyach. He's helping us to have this koyach. Koyach, and the koyach of Yosef Yoshis Yodo Alei Necha. The koyach of Yosef HaTzadik, the midah of Yosef HaTzadik. Shmiras HaBris. Kedushas HaYesod of Yosef HaTzadik. Whose hands on the eyes, on our eyes. Through the hashpah of Yaakov Avinu and Yosef HaTzadik, a person has the ability, when we're saying Shema, to have this in mind, to lift our eyes up to Shemayim, that we should be able to say true Eidos, that the most important thing in my life is Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That that nothing else is important. Hakol za Hashem echad. Everything is Hashem echad. Kishem shein belibcha, and the same way the Shvatim told Yaakov Avinu. Kishem shein belibcha el echad. The same way that in your heart the most important thing, everything is Hashem Elokeinu Hashem echad. Kach ein b'libeinu. On the yodim shahakol aroiv. And when we close our eyes by Shema and we're thinking these thoughts, we're saying that we believe that everything is temporary. Everything that we see in this world, it passes. And zakol nisyanis. And everything that we're looking at and everything that we're living through is nisyanis. Vatachlis mekol chashkus olam hazeh. And the tachlis of all of this choshech that we're going through in this world, mikol koshi, from all of the challenges, all the difficulties, leikin nahayrala the nafik migoy chashucha, is that light that we're able to draw out from the darkness of this world. Lichyos b'hisraimus, to live a life that's elevated above this world, not to drown in the darkness of this world. L'shraimim hecha and hecha, to go higher and higher. L'giyah l'veroisha migiyah hashamayim, like Yaakov Avinu. It says Sulam Mutzav Arza, the bottom of the ladder was on the earth. Roisha Megihah Shemaima, and Chazal say that the ladder is Yaakov Avinu himself. That even though Yaakov lived in this world, and his feet were on the ground of this world, and he was in business, and he was very much involved with the family, Yaakov Avinu was very much a part of the world. But Roisha is Megihah Shemaima. But he didn't let his head, he didn't let his mind get dragged down into the world. His mind was always higher than this world. He was always in that place of Sumerai Menechem. Shezo Tachlis Shekol Yehudi, which is the Tachlis of every Yid in this world. Zo HaKoyach Shel Sumerai Menechem. There's a height of the Eigen, to lift up the eyes. Sumerai Menechem. Im Shoymim Al Einayim Sheyim Nekiyus. If a person is careful to guard his eyes, that the eyes should be clean, Mimela Megiyim Lazeh. Mimela, any person that works on guarding the eyes, on having the eyes closed to some degree, whatever you can, to this world, it's already a different life. That his whole way of looking at everything is higher. The way that he looks at everything in his life becomes higher. If a person works on Shmiras Einayim, Sumerai Menechem lifts his entire perspective up to a different place. And that's why Chazal wanted the parsha, that we should say the parsha of Tzitzis in Kriya Shema. Mashpas lem taharas einayim. Lo sasuach ve'levavchem achrei einechem. And by Tzitzis we say, Lo sasuach ve'levavchem achrei einechem. Not to be led astray by our hearts, by our eyes. Umashpas lem yitzias Mitzrayim. It's the shefa of yitzias Mitzrayim. We're not getting ready for Pesach. The shefa of Yitzias Mitzrayim, all the mitzvahs are Zechel Yitzias Mitzrayim. Yitzias Mitzrayim means that a person is not stuck in this world. That a person is able to go higher than this world. Mitzrayim means this world. It means the darkness of this world. And Yitzias Mitzrayim means the avodah of every single day, like the Tanya says. Chayv Adam Liras is Atzmai Kilo Hayoim, today. Not every single day. Yotzim Mitzrayim. Not just Pesach. Umashpas lanu Yitzias Mitzrayim. V'parshas Tzitzis nemar b'china sh'al kanfei b'gdeil l'doraisa. That's the ma'aseh in the Gemara with the Tzitzis, where the guy was going to do an Aveira, and in order to do the Aveira, he was getting undressed, and the Tzitzis gave him a patch. If you want to believe in the simple pshat, that's good to believe in the simple pshat that the Tzitzis were alive, but it's better if with this particular Gemara, it's better not to believe in the just in the simple pshat that the tzitzis gave him a patch, because none of us ever got a patch from our tzitzis. So if you're waiting for your tzitzis to give you a patch, it's most likely not going to happen. If you're waiting for the physical tzitzis to start giving you a smack in the face when you're about to do something, God forbid, you shouldn't do. The pneumius of the Gemara, of course, is that this person was taking off his tzitzis to do an aveira with the lady. He was taking off his tzitzis, and when he looked at his tzitzis, it's a man tizkuru. He remembered who he was, and he remembered that he left Mitzrayim. He remembered that he's a person that's chayav mitzvahs, and he was able to look higher than that moment, and vayanas vayetz, he was able to get out of Mitzrayim. So the Torah says al kanfei bigdeim, of course, means the corners, the four corners of our clothing, of our garments. But knafayim means also what? What's a knaf? It means a wing. Knafayim means wing. Kanfei nishar means wings. Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim, al kanfei nishar. And also, if you're waiting for an eagle to take you, most likely it's not going to happen. That there's no eagle stopping off. It's hard to see an eagle b'chlal these days, and they're not stopping to take you on any trip to Eretz Yisrael. Al kanfei nishar. So what does it mean? Al kanfei nishar. What does it mean? Knafayim. So in the words that Rav Kook said that was made into a song, Aleilam ben Adam, Aleilam Aleilam yesh lecha kanfei ruach. Kanfei nishar ma'abirim. Kanfei nishar means that a person could be in a terrible, terrible situation. He could be Yosef in the house of Potiphar. He could be that guy. He could be that guy that got himself into this situation with a girl, and he has the ability. Al kanfei nishar. He has the ability to fly out of that. So the tzitzis, the remez of the tzitzis, everything Rabbi Tzimei says, these are all found in the Svarma Kedoshim. Av b'china shel al kanfei bigdeim l'doraisa. Al kanfei bigdeim l'doraisa. So b'chinas kanfei nishar. The knaf, the kanfei, ha-begadim, the means the wings.
Why dafka an eagle?
What?
Why dafka an eagle?
An eagle is that bird that the Torah tells us has the ability to soar faster and higher than any other bird. So it's kanfei nishar ma'abirim. And there are other reasons why Rashi says why it's the moshel of an eagle with taking care of its keeps its kids on its wings on top. There are many things that the eagle means. B'chlal, the ischachus of an eagle. The koich of ischachus is the koich of a nesher. Nesher is a lotion of shedding its wings and then being renewed. There are many things that the nesher represents, that the eagle represents, which is why it's we see it very often in Tanakh, and why in Eretz Yisrael they name taxi cabs after it also. Huh? Al kanfei nishar. But the nesher is a symbol of the ability of a person to elevate himself from a very low matzav and to soar to a very high place. Darchei from that Yerida to be able to have a gewaldige aliyah. So b'chinas kanfei nishar, b'chinas knafayim. Ki mitzvah tzitzis hyped of a yid, because the mitzvah of tzitzis lifts a Jew up. That's why Hashem wanted us to have that always to remember that you can go higher than this. You don't have to don't get yourself into this. You can go higher than this. It's the meaning of tzitzis, and that's why we learned that tzitzis is a lashon of seeing, like the tzitz. And meitzitz b'nacharakim, mashgiach b'nachaloines, meitzitz b'nachaloines. Lahatzitz means to see something, to look at something. On a mis'atfim b'tzitzis. And the Rebbe wanted that a person should be mis'ativ b'tzitzis. So even the way that we cover ourselves, that we surround ourselves, that the talus is a makif, we cover our head, and we cover and the way we're mis'ativ for the tzitzis, we cover our eyes, and the whole ma'isiv of tzitzis is knafayim, is to turn away from this world, and to enter into that makif of the shechina, of the talus, and that's why tzitzis is knafayim, and tzitzis means to see something in a different way. Animus atfim b'tzitzis, talus cotton, talus godel. Shem Yevchinas Arba Big Day Kahuna, that every one of us is zoichet to wear every day the talus cotton, the talus godel, which correspond to the Big Day Kahuna, the regular begotten of the Kohen Hedyot, and the Big Day Kahuna of a Kohen Godel, the talus cotton, talus godel, the regular begotten. These are the parashas now we're learning. Makifim that surrounded you. It's that higher reality of Sumurei Menechem. That's what the talus is, the higher. Sumurei Menechem. There's a machnes, that's why it's knafayim. There's a machnes es son l'olam acher legamri. To be able to be in an olam acher legamri, in a hechere welt, a higher world, a different world. Any person that's working on this avodah of taharas einayim, any person that's working on this is able to be in a olam acher, hechere welt, is living in a different world. Is living in a and those people who are not, to just look at everything that they want to see, they just look at. So they get all the avodah of tshuva to try to fix and to change, but everything's taking place in that same world that they're in. When a person works on taharas einayim, sumer menechem knafayim, he's elevated to a different world. He's elevated to a different world. I was once talking about this a few years ago during Sfiras Aimer. Not the avodah. I was talking about taharas einayim. There's something in Pirkei Avos and chayvas adam ba'ilama, chayvasa ba'ilama. That you have a person that's his whole life is there's a difference between a person who is in his house and he has a one bedroom apartment, and sometimes like he has to change the light bulb, he gets on a chair, or he gets on a little step stool, something, a ladder, as opposed to somebody who has another floor, a different floor. It's a person whose entire life is in that same world, and he doesn't go to a higher world. A higher world means that when a person, there's a reason that a person finds himself getting constantly dragged back into the same problems, the same affairs, is because he's looking at things the same way that he looked at them when he was 18 and 20 and 30. Is the same blick, the same way of looking at things. And the Torah is saying that the person has the ability. Tzisasai means to move to the penthouse, to move to a higher place, to move to an andere Welt, a different world. It doesn't mean not to go to work. It doesn't mean not to exercise and to be in the world. But everything that a person does is when you see a tzaddik, everything with a tzaddik it's a different world. The tzaddik lives in a different world. He does everything you have to do, but it's a different world. And kol ze'ev shalizkos ayde taharas einayim. That's why it's knafayim, kanfos, bigdeihem. Hamvueres b'pashas hatzitzis. V'ezir hakosov, and that's what the Torah says. Lo sasu achrei levavchem achrei einechem. What does it mean, lo sasu? Lo sasu achrei levavchem achrei einechem. We're just learning the simple pshat in Kriyashim. What does it mean, lo sasu? Ki iz le'einayim hagashmias mitivam yesh lahem neigigkeit, which means that neigigkeit means that they're curious. By nature, the eyes are very curious. People, you see something, if there's a little bit of a noise in a shul, you have 200 people, right? My wife says that, but there's this notion, every time, any shul, there's this notion, if a girl walks in, a woman walks in, you have, depending on the side of the shul, you have a couple of 100 pairs of eyes looking to see, who's here? Who's here? How does she look? Oh. A person is curious. It's the type of a person to be very, very curious. So Hashem's Baruch made us with such a curiosity because He wants us to learn new things and to be filled with His chachis and with chidushei Torah. But the nature of a person is to be curious. Yesh b'zeh dargas bli shiur bli seif. And in this Indian of curiosity, the person wants to see, and especially now that with the technology, it used to be that the person who was curious would just look around a little bit. What did you see when you lived in the same shtetl for 400 years? Your family, you walked around, you saw, it was there to look. If somebody came to town, my father said, I once mentioned this. My father said that he remembers that in his hometown, in Hungary, that there was once a black person came, was a person came, someone from Africa, where came a black person. My father said that the whole city came out lined up on both sides of the streets, all the streets, and they were all looking at people, clapping, and he was walking through he was like giving brachas to this guy. Those my father said they never saw such a thing, that they never saw such a Metzias. They heard about it, that there's such a Metzias. They read about it in the Chumash, there's such a Metzias, but they never saw with their eyes. And people in Batava are very, very interested to see all kinds of different things, something you never saw. You're curious to see what is this. People go traveling to see all kinds of modern things, to go to look at something, to spend thousands of dollars to go to see something. It's natural. There's some people that the Teva is much more like that than other people. This is clear. Hashem created eyes with a certain hunger. The eyes are hungry. Different people, different madregas of how hungry the eyes are, but the Teva of the eyes are to be hungry. This blunged. Don't get blunged after. Your eyes are very curious. And they can take you to all kinds of strange places. Your heart, of course, the heart with the eyes, that combination, are very curious. And you could be taken to all kinds of places that you shouldn't go. Not to look. If each one of us would do that, to try to begin 5 times a day, 10 times a day, to whatever person wants, but to make it sometimes that when you're very curious to see something, not to look. Just try that as an exercise. That we can do that as a class. 5 times you feel burning, like something in shul or somebody, whatever, and you have a curiosity or something on the street, and you're curious to look, and you're misapek. Like Yosef HaTzadik, you don't look. I'm not talking about something that bad or disgusting. Stop. You feel that hunger of the eyes. And to learn how to train the eyes, not to look, just not to look at this. Your eyes are hungry. It doesn't mean you have to look. I mean, even something that's fine to look at. Not to about your kids or something. Yeah. Stop in the hell. Not to look. Not to look. When a person is working on holding back the hunger of the eyes for this world, then what happens is, over time, since Kilo Yirani Ha'odam B'chai means you want to see everything in this world, then Hashem says, then Lo Yirani Ha'odam, then you're not going to see me. So the opposite of that is, that if you know how to not look at the world, Hashem is saying, Yirani, then you'll begin to see me. Obviously, the next world is a hecher of hell. That this world is no longer. So that's why tzaddikim yoshim after Semer Shem and enemies of Shechina. What they sing the ziv. Whatever that means. Whatever that means. What they're looking at in the next world, the ziv Shechina. So a person can taste of that in this world of Yirani, of seeing me, but it's only if it's otherwise. If a person tries this avoid of su'umuray menechem, and after the gashmiistic eyes, so we see in the Gemara says in brachas that's how the Chachamim in the Gemara used to give each other a bracha. You should see your world, meaning you should see the other world while being in this world. That's how they used to give a bracha, the Chachamim. You should see the other world while living in this world. That's exactly what the bracha means. While living in this world, you should see a world beyond this world. But if all you look at it is this world, and you're satisfying your hungry eyes with everything in this world, then you can't see a higher world. You can't see something beyond this world. To be an enemy ziv Shechina, to be hanaf from ziv Shechina in this world. Shall v'yechazu es Elokim v'yorchel v'yishtu. V'yechazu es Elokim v'yorchel, which says by Pashas Mishpatim, Moshe Weinberger went up. So it says v'yechazu by the Zikanim, the Ziknei Yisrael. and Yeshua. It says Vayachzu es Elokim Vayachlu Vayishtu. Vayachzu and by Nod of Naviu. Vayachzu es Elokim Vayachlu Vayishtu, which means that it's possible while living in this world. This is a world of Vayachlu Vayishtu, of eating and drinking. It's a physical world. It's possible while living in this world of eating and drinking to experience Vayachzu es Elokim. Vayachzu es Elokim. Shakamar Chelev V'desh and Tizba Nafshi Sipsei Renonis Tahalol Pi Shatorah Tefillah, when a person has an unbelievable geschmack in learning and davening. So people laugh when they hear the story about the Kedushas Levi, the famous story how after Yom Kippur, Kedushas Levi, the whole way home from shul, what do you remember? The Kedushas Levi on the way back from shul, he's saying, "Oh, am I hungry? I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry." The whole way back from Yom Kippur, it was very odd that the Kedushas Levi is talking that way, and he's saying, "I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so hungry. I can't wait. I can't wait to eat. I'm so hungry." And they got back from shul, and the Kedushas Levi kept 2 days Yom Kippur. He was machmir, Sveka the Yomer. He didn't eat 2 days. He didn't eat the second day. Because he didn't break his fast that night. He went straight through 2 days. Not the tefillas or anything, but he didn't eat. Kedushas Levi didn't eat the second day. So they thought it was very odd that he's coming back from shul the whole time saying, I'm so hungry. And they came back and they made Havdalah, and everybody, of course, sits down to eat. And the Kedushas Levi takes out Masechta Sukkah, and he says, takes out the Masechta, and then he goes to start working on the Sukkah. He says, am I hungry? So we look at these stories and say, that's okay. We can't be masig what Kedushas Levi, that kedusha, but the story means that there's such a thing as vayachla vayishtu, and the vayachla vayishtu is vayachas elokim. That for the tzaddik, having a geschmack davening and learning is vayachla vayishtu. It's vayachla vayishtu. The way that a regular person enjoys a good meal, who hasn't eaten in a while. When Kedushas Levi was saying, I can't wait, I'm so hungry, he wasn't making like some kind of thing that one day he hopes they're going to make an article Kedushas Levi biography. He wasn't thinking like that. His mitzias was vayachla vayishtu. That his whole vayachla vayishtu was vayachzu elokim. Vayachzu elokim. And we see how it is with adults, that you have people that can't stay in shul. Okay, I know all kinds of things that people have, all kinds of machlis with all the ADDs and all these. I'm not saying about people that have some kind of a sickness that they can't stay in one place. But you see that people coming in and going and coming and going and going in. They can't stay. To stay in shul for an hour and a half, to stay for 2 hours in shul, it's like a whole avodah for a person that can't stay. And when it comes to sitting and learning, to be able to have a hana from our Yiddishkeit, to enjoy Yiddishkeit, that a mitzvah should be enjoyable, that davening should be enjoyable, not just because there's a great bat tefillah, not just because you love this bat tefillah, and he sang some great nagunim, not because of that. That's nice, but that's not because of that. Just the davening itself. That when you not with any nagunim on a regular Sunday morning, to say the words Yishtabach Shimchel Ad Malkeinu. Vayachla vayishtu. Vayachla vayishtu. Oh, Yishtabach Shimchel Ad. Vayachla vayishtu. Vayachla vayishtu. When you take out then you come home after work and you're tired, and you daven, you go to daven, you come back, you have something to eat, and you sit down, you have like an hour or two, and you take down, you sit down and you open up the Gemara. It's vayachla vayishtu. It's vayachla vayishtu. Nene miziv hashchina. So that whole ability of a person to be able to enjoy Yiddishkeit is is only through this avoda of Shema Yisrael, of closing the eyes. Of having a higher perspective. Because then it's Yirani Ha'adam. Then a person is able to be Nene Miziv HaShechina. But if his entire chiyas comes from the eating and the drinking and so on. So then we're talking about $999 Mr. Shalachmanis. That's the chiyas of a Shalachmanis. You can't taste a good Shalachmanis unless it costs $999. It doesn't taste like anything. Like it said there, if you really want to show you care for people. Everything but if a person's Yiddishkeit is with chiyas, then every mitzvah is v'chai. It doesn't have to be a fancy sukkah. It doesn't have to be a fancy shalomos. It doesn't have to be a fancy seder. The chiyas is v'yachzu l'kim, v'yochle v'yishtu. But those, when we are just looking at this world, so then we're not enemies of Shechina. So then we're not enjoying it. The davening is schlepped out. They don't enjoy the davening. We try to finish up the davening, finish up the mitzvah, finish up. After Yom Kippur, it's not, did you feel that you were zeich to have a feeling of that your tshuva was a skabel and shamayim? Is that the big question after Yom Kippur, or the question? What's the question after Yom Kippur?
When do we eat it?
When did you know? When did you finish?
No.
Well, how long is the break? How long is the break?
No, what the rabbi?
Maybe, but usually it's how long was the break? How long? When did you finish Moshe? When did you finish Moshe? You had 45 minutes. We had an hour and a quarter. Just think, I can't believe it. I get stuck in this place 45 minutes. He starts to make a cheshbon for next year. But these are my friends. What I'm going to do? Maybe I'll go to Ashkam in that shul. Something until I make a cheshbon. How do I get out of that? Because this guy he won by a half hour. He won by a half hour. And why does a person come late to shul? I'm not talking about it happens. Something happens with take care, but it's not, because it's not. There's no vayarch le'vayishtu. So a person could be sitting Shabbos morning and he's having his favorite coffee that has all kinds of flavors, and he's sitting there with his coffee and he's sitting at the table and the wife is wondering like what's going on. It's shul already starting. It's 8:30 and my husband's sitting there drinking a coffee. Because that's his vayarch le'vayishtu. Of course, he has to go to shul, so, but the lazy brayer, whatever, will make his way over there. But the vayarch le'vayishtu is the coffee. The vayarch le'vayishtu is the kiddush. That's vayarch le'vayishtu. You see people that they go crazy, they're nervous about how long musaf takes, but they can hang around by a kiddush for an hour. That vayarch le'vayishtu. But if the poor guy, the poor Baal Tefillah, has a little bit of that sickness, during with the davening, and he's giving a little bit of an extra, so then the whole place is going, what's going on? It's supposed to be out of here by 11. It's already 11. It's already 11 o'clock. This guy didn't finish yet kedusha or something. What's going on? But that same person can be by the kiddush for an hour, and he's relaxed. He's totally having a good time. He's already on his fifth plate, and he's talking. He's happy. An honest person has to look at himself and say, "What's the matter with me?" The teretz is that this is Yavayarch le'vayishtu is not the same as the Kedushas Levi. That's the Vayarch le'vayishtu. But it depends on Vayechsu es Elokim. Vayechsu Elokim means if your eyes are eyes that are looking at a Kodesh Baruch Hu, then your Vayarch le'vayishtu is Yiddishkeit. If your eyes are looking all the time away from Hashem and other things, then your Vayarch le'vayishtu is the sushi or the $400 bottle of schnapps or whatever that is. There's nothing else that can change that perspective in a person's life. You can learn all this farm, and you can make your 10th siyam hashas. But if you don't guard your eyes, it's gunish and help. I shouldn't say that. It does help. Everything helps, but it's not going to be. It's just not. If your eyes are open to this world, and you don't have then you can't see the other world. So then you could be a person that you enjoy learning. It's geschmack, and you enjoy the Gemara, But when it comes to Averis, or when it comes to other things, you can enjoy them just as much. God forbid, even more. You have the same geschmack. You learn the Gemara, you do an Aveir, Lavdil. It's the same thing. You could be Messiah and Aveir, you could be Messiah Shas. And it doesn't feel like there's a difference. Only a person who has that internal life of closing the eyes and closing the mouth, those go together. Not to say everything you feel like saying. We spoke about this a lot, that the Kedusha say now, bris ha-lashon, bris hamor, and the bris milah, and shmiras ha-lashon. Besides trying 5 times today, 5 times not to look at something that I'm curious to look at, not to look at it. Try 5 times not to say something that you think you have to say. You know, there are certain people, they always think they have to say something. You know what I'm talking about? They can't just say hi. They always have to say something else. There's always like a Tesefes Meruba. Why? What is it? You feel like you have to say, there are a lot of reasons why people are like that. But there's people that you know that when that person's approaching you, you know it's not just to say Good Shabbos. But nothing else came out of it except Good Shabbos. It should have been just Good Shabbos, right? But like there was other stuff, and it wasn't like, there's machlokes v'ashim about that. Oh, that's harsh. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying all it was Good Shabbos. But why is that when you say Good Shabbos, I'm tired? Like, why do you make me tired, your Good Shabbos? Your Good Shabbos makes me tired. You know there are people like that? They make you tired. And it was just a Good Shabbos. But and all kinds of other inyanim come up that nobody except maybe his mother would be interested in, maybe would be interested in, and invite to it. They think to say something clever, or to say a joke, or to have to say something. And it's the same inyan. Curiosity of the mouth, spilling the mouth, the eyes, and it comes together, lower language, with the other part of the body. This is a bris. It's the same sugya. Eyes, mouth, and bris milah. It's all one sugya. When a person's working on shmiras einai, shmiras haloshin, then that avodah of Yosef HaTzadik is infinitely easier because the person lives in a different world. He doesn't have to tell everybody whatever he's thinking. Tell everybody what he's thinking. You have people, even before they even see anybody, you have people, they walk into shul, they're already talking before they even met anybody. He walks into the shul, he's already talking, like a doll. Like somebody wound him up in the hallway. The door's open and shine. He's got something to say. And then he looks around, there's nobody else there. But he's already talking. And it's the same thing with the eyes, looking, and then it affects the inyan of that avodah of Yosef HaTzadik. And the main time to work on this in our davening is by Kriya Shema. I will continue.